Right, let's cross now live to RT contributor Martin J. Martin, good to have you on. Trump is now threatening to, quote, obliterate Iran's oil wells, power plants, and desalination plants if the Strait of Hormuz is not immediately opened. So straight up saying that they're going to commit war crimes in Iran. What do you make of these new threats? And all the while, the strait remains shut.
It's a great victory for Iran, and I think Iran's going to hold on to it for quite some time. We can't really take them seriously. Trump likes to make these threats constantly. He likes to keep himself constantly on the front page of the New York Times and the Post, and on CNN and CNBC every single night. So it's normal that he'll throw this sort of chaff up every now and again. But he's also buying time. Some of the top military analysts that I'm in touch with are telling me that the 5-day warning that he gave a week ago wasn't long enough for him to actually regroup, talk to some new Pentagon advisors, and to look at some of the plans of going in again and going for a second strike, a second short-term quick strike, which will give him some sort of victory, he believes, that he can walk away from. And, we're looking at various scenarios of 10,000 infantry that are being prepared and 2,000 Marines. And the ideas are taking various islands, Kargan Island, which is highly ambitious and very unlikely. Some other islands which are less inhabited in the Straits of Hormuz that could be American bases, or the more ambitious plan of actually doing a land invasion somewhere along the Iranian coast. So he needs more time to prepare for that. They've restocked on ammunition, but they haven't really got all their I's dotted and T's crossed.
The whole point of this war has been in question since the beginning. But, Martin, it looks like the goal for the Trump administration, at least now, has become about reopening the Strait of Hormuz, which was open before the war began. What do you make of so much effort being put into pursuing a goal like this, which would have been achieved simply if the war had not started? And how are people going to react to that, especially considering more than a dozen U.S. service members have been killed so far?
Yeah, I think a lot of this is down to American and Western media, who are not really reporting accurately. They're not giving people an accurate day-to-day account of the victories and the defeats on either side. It's very, very distorted. And so for the moment, in the short term, Trump can wing it. He can just say whatever he wants to the cameras. But I think the war itself has shifted. It was a military strategy at the beginning. But now it's become an economic war. And I think Trump has woken up to that in the last week or so. He's realizing how the markets have been affected. And we should never, ever forget, that so much of what Trump does is all about market manipulation. So when he makes a statement as stupid as he did today, threatening Iran, this is all him about hoping that could knock off a few dollars of the price of Brent crude, and his buddies can make a quick kill that day and pat him on the back. It's really all about money with Trump. And to make these comparisons that you made, to draw parallels with where we were before February the 28th, where oil was $60 something a barrel, to what it is now, almost double. And with no real threat to supply chains, whether we talk about fertilizers or helium, or even food, which is being shipped around the world, in diesel-driven tankers. I think now it's a catastrophe. And it's a catastrophe that the rest of the world is having to face up to, as well as Trump. I'm rather reminded of that quote that Nixon said to the Europeans when he wanted to devalue the dollar. He said, "It's our dollar. It's our dollar, but your problem." I think that applies now very much to the crisis in the Middle East.
To your point that you made, there's been a raft of failures and miscalculations by the United States in this whole operation. Energy prices are up, U.S. soldiers are dead, U.S. bases attacked, allies are certainly feeling the consequences. Is there anything that the U.S. is winning or achieving in this escalation whatsoever?
No, I don't think at all. I think it's all been a catastrophe. It's all been a massive blowback. And now that's what we're really dealing with now. We're dealing with Trump scrambling to pick up the pieces and trying to put together some sort of facade that America has won something. Even if you look from an American perspective of the military wins, they have done a lot of damage in Iran, but the more damage they do, the more the Iranians very, very cleverly retaliate by hitting the GCC countries even harder and bombing Iran with more sophisticated weapons as the days go past. So Trump is in a straitjacket. You know, the more he struggles, the more he moves. He seems to just dig himself deeper and deeper, into a pit. So, to really answer your question, I can't think of anything positive that the West can take away from this.
Okay, we're going to leave it there then. RT contributor Martin J. Martin, thank you.